Okay. All right, so now we're going to look at her play more specifically, her abilities and her difficulties. So first, can you describe how Jen plays, with what she plays, how often, etc.?
She plays with toys like cards, stuffed animals, dolls, and she has this little snake that she likes to play with. She usually plays with them by herself. She doesn't like anyone else to mess with her things. So she's kind of off to herself when she plays with them. And anytime that she can play with them, she loves to have free time to herself to play.
Okay, so mostly independently. Does she engage in really any structured games that have specific rules to them, I guess?
No, not at all. That's when we see her behaviors, her aggression.
Got it. Does your child have does Jen have problem behaviors when playing? And if so, can you describe those behaviors?
Yes, she doesn't play with the toys that she likes to play with. She doesn't play with them. Someone her age. It's kind of like a child playing with them. She doesn't interact with anyone else, and she engages in the aggression and disruption during if someone else were to try to play with her.
Okay. So she plays alone, we said. No, she plays alone, no limited interaction during free play, and with no other peers her age.
Right. And she likes to also suck her thumb. And she pretends to care for the doll animal or animals that she plays with.
Right. And you said if anybody tries to join in a play activity with her, that's when the problem behaviors occur.
Yes.
Okay. Does Jen react if you stop playing with her? So say that she was allowing you to play with her for a moment in time. If you then leave that play, does she react?
Yes, that's when we see aggression. Unless you're playing like she wants you to play.
Okay. But then if you leave and you stop playing with her,
we don't see any of those behaviors. Okay. Any of those behaviors now. She loves to play by herself.
Okay. Let's see. How does she react if you ask her to stop playing with a toy and switch to a different toy?
That's when she starts to hit, bite, and
okay.
If we want her to play with something else, that's when she throws the toy that we want her to play with, or she will hit one of the caregivers.
Okay. Now we're going to look and we're going to try to identify the function or the reason for these undesirable behaviors. So thinking about each of the behaviors, we discussed the aggression and the disruption. What do you believe the function you believe the behavior serves for Jen? So what does she get or what does she avoid by doing this behavior? So let's look at the aggression first.
Okay. If she doesn't want to do a particular activity, so maybe just getting out of doing that activity is what her function is, especially if it's something that she loves to do.
Okay, so you're thinking escaping or avoiding something that's not preferred.
Yes.
Okay, and what about the disruptive behaviors?
I think the same thing, because we see those disruptions, especially when it's all of the clients in a room together. And she doesn't like to be around a lot of people, or when she doesn't like the activity that we're doing with all the clients, then that's when we see the disruption, the yelling and everything. So getting out of doing what we want her to do at that moment.
Okay. Now we're going to look, what is Jen's most typical response in the following situations? So the first one is, are the behaviors more likely, less likely, or unaffected if you present her with a difficult task?
More likely, definitely.
Okay, what about if you interrupt a desired event?
More likely.
Okay. If you deliver a stern request, command, or reprimand.
More likely.
Okay. If you are present but do not interact or ignore the child for 15 minutes.
Usually unaffected, like because she likes to be by herself, we usually don't see those behaviors.
Okay. Are the behaviors more likely, less likely, or unaffected by changes in routine?
More likely.
And what about if something the child or Jen wants is present, but she cannot get it?
More likely.
Okay. And then the last one is if she is alone, no one else is present.
Less likely to occur.
Okay. Let's see. Define the efficiency of the undesired behaviors. What amount of physical effort is involved in the behaviors, such as prolonged intense tantrums versus simple verbal outbursts?
She has some prolonged tantrums that, and I would say maybe like medium to high that we see.
Okay. And does engaging in the behavior result in a payoff, such as getting attention or avoiding work every time, almost every time, or once in a while?
Almost every time, especially because what we usually have to do because she's being aggressive towards the staff, we don't want her hitting any of the other clients. We kind of move her to another room, and she likes to be by herself. So when that occurs, she's getting out of what to do.
Right. Okay. How much of a delay is there between the time Jen engages in the behavior and then gets the payoff? Is it immediate, a few seconds, or longer?
Immediate, I would say.
Okay. So at the first instance of the behavior, you would say that's when you're moving her to another room?
Yes, because we don't want her, again, hitting the other clients. We want to try to keep them safe and her safe as well because we don't want anyone to try to, retaliate at her or hit her. So, yeah, we immediately try to remove her.
Of course, okay. And now we're going to look at Jen's communication, what her primary methods are. So what are the general expressive communication strategies used by Jen, such as vocal speech, signing or gesturing, communication books, and how consistently are these strategies used?
She had a communication device that we were using at one time because she doesn't have, she has little to no verbal communication. Like she only usually says no to us. And we got the device and she's broken it numerous times. She points and but again, she usually is saying no.
Okay. If Jen is trying to tell you something or show you something and you don't understand, what will she do?
She will point. She'll bring whatever she wants to you. And if you don't understand what she's trying to say, she hits, she bites, and she pinches.
Okay. So you're saying if she's unable to really communicate what she's trying to get across to you, that's when she engages in the behaviors?
Yes.
Okay, the next page here goes through her means of communication to serve different functions. So if you could just briefly go through like how she would request an object, and some of the choices are grabbing or reaching, pointing, giving it to you, etc. So if you want to look over those options really quickly, and we can go down the line.
Okay. So for request an object, she will grab, she'll point, she'll lead, she'll gaze shift, and she would head nod and also cry or whine.
Okay. What about requesting an action?
She'll point and she'll also lead us to whatever she wants.
Okay. Protest or escape?
She'll say no. So she vocalizes. Aggression, she might throw a tantrum, and she also will cry or whine.
Okay. And so when you say vocalize, no is the primary vocalization. There's no other words that she would use?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about requesting help?
She'll give, she'll point, and she'll lead, and also move to me. So she will come to me.
Okay. Requesting a social routine.
She usually doesn't.
Okay. Requesting comfort.
She doesn't request it from any of us. She usually just kind of goes and gets her toys, but she doesn't request it from a person.
Okay. Indicating illness. Is she able to do this?
We usually know that something is wrong with her through her facial expressions. She'll also cry or whine, and she'll suck her thumb and rock.
Okay. And then the last one is just when she is showing you something.
She'll give, she'll point, she'll gaze shift, and she'll move the item to us.
Okay. All right. And then with regard to her receptive communication ability, does Jen follow verbal requests or instructions from you? And if so, how many? And if you could list a few that she might follow.
Okay. Yes, she does. She'll follow like 2 to 3 step instructions. She'll I ask her come here, sit down, get dressed.
Okay. Is she able to imitate someone demonstrating how to do a task or play with a toy?
Yeah, she can imitate.
Okay. Does she respond to sign language or gestures?
She doesn't use sign language. Sign language when we're trying to use it with her, especially the speech therapist. But she will respond if we're pointing.
Okay. And how does she tell you yes or no if asked if she wants something, if she wants to go somewhere, etc.?
She'll nod her head, shake her head, or tell us no, especially if she doesn't want to do something.
Right. Okay. Now we're going to look at what events, actions, and objects are supportive or present challenges to Jen. Can you describe the things that Jen really enjoys? So what makes her happy? What might someone do to provide that makes her happy?
Okay. Again, she loves her cards. She has some stuffed animals, a toy snake, and some baby dolls that she plays with. And she loves those items. And then being alone, being by the time we give her free time to just kind of go off and do her own thing, she enjoys that.
Okay. What kinds of things have you or her other care providers done to try and change the problem behaviors?
We talked to the psychiatrist about the behaviors that we have been noticing, and that's when he put her on the medication to hopefully reduce the issues that she was having. Mm-hmm. We follow a strict routine, and then we have given her own room and shower so that she kind of has time where she can be by herself.
Okay. And then lastly, we'd like to just summarize and try to develop an idea of what is maintaining these problem behaviors. So first, what are some of the triggers of the problem behavior, which we somewhat discussed already? If you can identify a trigger such as a setting or an event.
Okay. Anytime we don't let her do what she wants to do, or mm-hmm. let her play with the certain items that she likes to play with.
Okay, so when she's denied access to something preferred, whether that's item or activity. Okay, mm-hmm. and the problem behavior you're seeing there is, again, that aggression and disruption?
Yes.
Okay, and then what do you believe is maintaining? What is the consequence, or how would you react in that situation?
We usually go, have her go to her own room, or we will actually guide her to her own room. So being by herself, again, she loves to do that. So I would say that's probably.
Okay. And we discussed this a little bit earlier, but the function, or the reason that